sharing my story. I think it also means for me eventually sharing it with people who are going to disagree, but I don't care. I want people to know, like, this is what it looks like. And it's not evil baby killers marching off to other states. It's your neighbor, it's your friend.
Our TFMR stories, pregnancy loss support in the heartbreak of terminating a wanted pregnancy. Welcome to an episode of our TFMR stories. I am Sabrina Fletcher, the TFMR doula, and today we have a parent with us. Her name is Katie. She is a TFMR and multiple miscarriage mom and mom to 2 living kids. And she's on the show today to share her baby's story. Her daughter had a constellation of brain abnormalities discovered at the 20-week scan. So thank you so much for being willing to come on and share your story with us. I'd like to start by asking the parents, the moms, to share a favorite memory from the pregnancy that they lost.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Sabrina. One of my favorite memories is actually how I told my husband I was pregnant, because this was a surprise pregnancy. He was at the gas station and I just had a feeling the night before. So I took a pregnancy test and then I took another one and I called him while he was mid-checkout at the gas station and he answered. And I just dropped the news on him right there. And he's like, "You couldn't wait till I got home?" And I couldn't. I was in shock. So that actually makes me laugh still to this day.
That's so sweet that he was so surprised. You were so surprised that you couldn't even wait. He was at the gas station.
Yeah. Yep. So that, and then also my birthday, which was 2 days before my anatomy scan. We live in Florida, so we had actually gone, my parents had taken the kids overnight, and we had gone away down to Lido Beach. And so we were staying at a beautiful waterfront resort at the gorgeous view, and just standing out there in some of the photos I have, I cherish.
Yeah, because by that time you were about halfway through your pregnancy, so definitely showing. And it's like family, the whole family is there. And
yes, yep. Yeah. 20 weeks pregnant, my third, I've had multiple pregnancies, but my third pregnancy that had gone like into the second trimester, so I was definitely showing.
Yeah, you'll cherish those pictures for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm glad that you were able to have some of those happy moments before everything went wrong.
Thank you. Me too. The whole pregnancy was such a roller coaster because we had struggled with infertility issues. I have PCOS, so I didn't discover that until 2017 when we decided to try to get pregnant. And I realized then that my cycles were abnormal. So I met with my OBGYN and she had referred me to a fertility clinic. She was amazing. She didn't make me wait a year like I've heard some people do. She kind of was like, "Well, you're almost 30 at this point." So she was like, "If you feel like that's what you have, let's get it going." So it was discovered that's what we had. We had both done like carrier screenings and all of that in the beginning of 2018 at that point. And we did a medication cycle. I did Clomid with metformin and then an Ovidrel trigger shot, and they monitored my ovulation and all of that with timed intercourse. So I got pregnant the first cycle, which we were stoked. And then unfortunately I had a miscarriage. So I had a miscarriage. I had a D&C 2 days before my 30th birthday in July of 2018. And then after that, we skipped a cycle, kind of let the body reset. And then the next cycle I didn't take. So we had one more shot. And then if this didn't work, we were going to move on to IUI. And I did get pregnant with this one. So I have my son it just turned 6 in July. So that was my first, my rainbow baby, my successful pregnancy, which is awesome. And then moving into 2020, we decided to try again. I got pregnant using a fancy smancy ovulation monitor that I had purchased that was super expensive, but I didn't have to go to the doctors and stuff, which was helpful in 2020, as everybody knows. And I was living in New York at the time too. So we were like very, I was locked down. I had a fresh 1-year-old baby. It was a lot. So I did get pregnant. And then I had a miscarriage with that pregnancy at 9 weeks. And so I had to have another D&C. And then my doctor had said, you don't even have to wait another cycle if you don't want to. You can go for it. So I got pregnant again. And I have my daughter, who was born in July of 2021. So yeah, she just turned 4 this July. So it's been a crazy couple of years. As far as for my OB, ride, a lot going on. So this was a big surprise to us because we had really felt like the stars and the sun and the moon all had to align for us to get pregnant. So for us to get pregnant, we were like, whoa, like this is crazy. So we were really excited.
Wow. Yeah. After all that and all the interventions and all the medical and
yeah, it was a lot. So once we were pregnant this time around, we, at first we were kind of panicking a little bit because it was a surprise. And we have 2 kids who are in a million different activities and all of the things. So we were like, oh my gosh, am I going to even be like a good mom if I have 3 kids? Like, am I going to be spread too thin? But everybody in our family was so excited and we were so excited. The kids were so excited. I mean, I told them right away because we're just very close like that. So everybody was pumped, and as nervous and surprised as we were very excited. That quickly just turned into okay, logistically, we have enough bedrooms. We have the stability as a family. We're going to do this and it's going to be awesome. So that's kind of where we were at, and everything was going great until it wasn't.
oh, that's so heartbreaking. Everybody was so excited.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was one indicator in my pregnancy that things might not be 100% done because I just turned 37. So, I'm advanced maternal age. And I also have a history of miscarriages, the PCOS, all this and that. So I was already considered a high risk, and I had seen maternal fetal medicine doctors for my anatomy scans for both of my living children. So I knew that was what was coming, which I actually preferred because I liked my experience at the MFMs better, just because of the machinery. And with me, never really having the ignorance is bliss pregnancies where I just knew that things could go wrong always. So I was always very anxious. So I liked going to the doctors that had the top-notch equipment and all that. But at my OB, when they had done my AFP, the blood work for that, the MOM or the mom, I'm not sure, was slightly elevated. And it was only elevated by 2 points or something. It was pretty minimal. And that's a risk indicator for a neural tube defect, like spina bifida. So, of course, I'm freaking out. And my OB would said, this is not like a diagnosis. This is a risk indicator. And the lab is actually suggesting that you retest because your numbers are so close. So they retested and it was within normal limits. So I was like, awesome, great. And up until this point, my ultrasounds had all been good. So at my anatomy scan, my husband had actually planned, we were going to drive separately, and then my husband was going to go to work after. And I said to him, you know what, let's drive together. God forbid anything goes wrong. Right. Which I'm so glad I did that because I really had no idea what was coming. I kind of was just expecting everything to be great because now at this point I'm 20 weeks, so I feel her moving, which to me is giving me false hope. I'm oh, this is great. She's not, it's not a miscarriage. It's not, I know she's alive. So anyways, we get to the office and it's a beautiful office. They're great. We're in there. We're doing the anatomy scan. She looks so cute. I noticed as they're doing it that something that she measured said 16 weeks. And now my husband didn't notice that at all, but I noticed that. And I'm like, that's not good. But I didn't ask her. I kind of let her do her thing. The middle of my anatomy scan, the power in the entire building goes out. So we're like,
no.
okay.
Yeah. The power goes out and the ultrasound tech is like, okay, my machine has a backup battery, so we're going to try to like get through this. So now at this point, it's making like a beeping sound, right? So every, I don't know, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, there's like a beep, beep, just to, I guess, let them know you're on backup battery. So she gets as much as she can. She goes out. Me and my husband are just like naively chit-chatting about the baby because she looks so cute. And the doctor comes in, and so she's very like upset about this beeping. And we're like, it's fine. Like, we have kids, we can tune it out. Like, little did I know, like, she's about to drop some heavy news on us and obviously doesn't want to have an annoying machine beeping in the background. So she starts asking me, does anybody in the family have complications? Has any of my children have issues? And I'm like, no, no, no. And she starts going into like, well, how much do you know about genetics? And I'm like, well, not that much. I mean, I know basic things about genetics, but not a lot. And she starts just telling us, unfortunately, there are multiple issues that we see going on in the ultrasound that we're concerned about. There is a constellation of brain abnormalities, and these things separate could be manageable. These things together are telling me that something is not good. She's like, one part of the brain is measuring small, which is what I had seen at the 16 weeks. She's like, that can indicate congenital blindness, severe mobile disabilities, and there's also fluid in the brain. And there's the ACC, so she was missing like the corpus callosum. Not sure exactly how to pronounce it still to this day. This is all stuff that I've never even heard of before. And again, the machine's beeping in the background. So we're in shock. And now at this point, she's like, we're going to have you come back. We suggest to do an amnio, but because of the power being out, like, we suggest you come back on Thursday. So we leave, we go down the stairwell, we sit in our car, we're beside ourselves. And as we're sitting in the parking lot, they called me back and said, the power is back on. Do you want to come back later today? And we're like, well, we're still here. We haven't left. So we go back up. They finish the scan and they do the amnio. And that's not fun to do. But at this point, I'm thinking, like, I know it's high risk, but I need as much information as possible. And she's telling me, stop me if this is not something that you're interested in or, believe in. But she's like, if you were to terminate this pregnancy because you're in Florida and it's like a gray diagnosis because we don't know exactly what's going on and your life is not at risk. Unfortunately, like, you would have to travel. So you would need to go possibly to Colorado. It's a place that we've sent people. And so I'm thinking, I'm from New York. So I'm thinking like, well, what about New York? And she's like, yes, we could send you to New York. So she leaves and just talking to the nurse. And then I'm thinking, well, I actually go back and visit New York and I don't really want to taint it with this horrible experience. I don't want to, every time I fly into New York, remember this. So I'm like, actually, like, is there anywhere else? And they mentioned Virginia, which seemed doable. It's a pretty short flight from Florida. So she said, all right, we're going to call the place in Virginia and set everything up. And I'm asking her, what does this mean? Like, is my child going to have a slight disability? Because my son has, he has some things going. He has ADHD, which is nothing on the scale of, huge disabilities. But we go to OT, we go to speech. So I'm like, are we talking like my child's going to be slightly delayed? And she's like, there's no way to know. But from, again, what all of this is telling me is that things aren't good. So we're just like, okay. So we leave and we're devastated. I made an appointment for a second opinion for a second MFM. And I made an opinion for an MRI because she had suggested getting an MRI as well. So those I wasn't able to schedule to the next week, which I would be 21 weeks. Also, with all of this going on, we have a family trip scheduled to go to Maine every year with my husband's entire family. And my kids, both of their birthdays, because they're both July birthdays and their birthdays are 4 days apart. So not that there's a good time for this, but it really was logistically a nightmare. And then with Florida, our kids start school pretty early. So, their first week of school is August. And now the clock is ticking because this all has to be done by 25 weeks to have it done with the D&E, which is the way that I wanted to go about it because I just didn't think that I could mentally handle everything else. So I had this appointment on Tuesday. On Thursday, I went for a walk with my neighbor
and my water broke. So she brought me to the hospital. She's not just a neighbor, she's one of my best friends that I've made here. And they tested, sure enough, it's an amnio fluid leak. I'm on bed rest now for the week. And also, you can imagine with two small children, life keeps lifing. So luckily, my parents live not too far. My mom was able to come over, my stepdad, and help with stuff around the house because my husband's working and everything. So we go to the MRI appointment. That went well as far as the procedure itself or the MRI itself. And then I had my second opinion. At my second opinion, my amniotic fluid levels were fine. So she's like, if you want to go to Maine, you can go. We were scheduled to go to Maine 2 days after this. So she's like, your fluid's fine. You should be able to fly. So I'm like, you know what? We want to go. Like, we need this. The kids are excited. And we'll at least get to be with the baby and take her to Maine. And we're just going to tell my husband's entire family and extended family, like, we don't want to talk about it. If we bring it up, that's great. But we don't want to sit here. The kids don't know because we don't want them freaking out. So the MRI came back that saw the same issues as the ultrasound. The second opinion came back. It was the same as the original. So we knew we were going to have to go to Virginia. So we went to Maine for a week. We came back Sunday, and then Tuesday morning, we had a 6 a.m. flight to Virginia. So we were there for a couple of days.
What a whirlwind. And I can only imagine all the ups and downs of the emotions. Trying to hold it together for your living kids.
Yep. A lot of, crying alone. Just because, my kids are so in tune with me, and I didn't want them to just see me upset and me not be able to tell them why. It was really my biggest issue. Now that everything's happened, so I will say the hospital in Virginia, they were amazing. They had a lot of resources that were able to help our family. The social worker there, actually, they asked about if you have any living children. They gave me literature on how best to explain to my children based on their ages, which is really helpful. Because one big part of it was like, don't just we find like it's best to be straightforward with children. Don't tell them the baby's sick because, at 4 and 6, 3 and 5, whatever they are at the time, it's now everybody that's sick, they're going to worry is going to die. So it's pretty much like you tell them that sometimes just like a seed doesn't always grow, like sometimes babies have an issue. And I told them like our baby's brain didn't develop properly. And unfortunately the baby died. And that's okay to be sad about it. It's okay to be mad about it. You can ask me a million questions. And so we're very open about it. And we just find that that's the best way for us to heal as a family is I want my kids to know that they can ask us any questions, and they can ask me the same questions over and over again if they want to.
Thanks for sharing that kids need that. And that, it can be hard for us as the parent to have to ask the question or field the question or even hear the question over and over again, but it's what they need. And we can show up for them like that.
Definitely.
It's not easy for anybody.
No, it's really not.
Hi there. A little break in the episode to share with you about a program created just for parents like you who have had to end a wanted pregnancy for health reasons. The TFMR Grief Circle program Ascend is open for enrollment. We enroll quarterly, so check out the upcoming dates at the tfmrdoula.com/ascend-apply. This transformative 4-month program is a safe, virtual, small group setting of up to only 5 or 6 other bereaved parents like you who have had to make the heartbreaking choice to end a wanted pregnancy. All the links will be in the description. And remember, these programs are for you to help you find and feel the care of other TFMR parents who have your back and see you in your grief.
And, my husband's, this has been especially, I think, a little bit hard for my husband's family because they had a stillbirth between my husband's older brother and my husband. So he's their rainbow baby. But that was in the 80s. So they didn't really get the ultrasounds. And I think they also didn't have a lot of resources. Like we have you, we have your group, we have social media, we have,
social workers that tell us how to tell our children. They didn't have that. And I think it was a really dark time for them, as it is for all of us. But they didn't really have the resources to tell my brother-in-law, who was 3 at the time that they lost their daughter, the baby's coming now, the baby's not. And so I think a lot of it was, let's not talk about it because we don't have the coping skills to really deal with it. And so my husband actually did not even know that his parents had a stillborn until he was a teenager, early teens, because I think they just were like, all right, like life continues as usual. And even like on social media now, as hard as it is sometimes. So I was at least able to post a video, ultrasound pictures, and kind of the journey of our pregnancy and use that as like an announcement to the world. Whereas my mother-in-law didn't have that. For her, it was like, you go to the grocery store and you were pregnant and now you're not. So your neighbor is going to say, oh, you had the baby. And it was that just like over and over. So I'm sure part of that is the reason why like you kind of don't want to talk about it. It's a lot to deal with. So I know for them, it was sort of it reopened that wound, I'm sure, for their daughter that they lost. And it's just been hard for the entire family. My son, who's my oldest, he was more sad when I told him initially. And then he's kind of like, okay. But he will tell people, like, we were at a birthday party yesterday, our friend's 6-year-old birthday party. And he said, oh, I'm 6 too. And she said, yeah, you are 6 and your mom's having a baby. And he just said, no. He said, our baby died. Her brain stopped growing properly.
Yeah, kids can, they can be just that straightforward because it's the facts. It's part of the family story and it's one of his siblings and it's what happened.
Yeah. So with my daughter, it's been more of a slow, even though she knows what happened. She's younger and she was so excited to be a big sister because she's the baby. And she was so excited for a sister specifically because she has a brother. So she has been like saving things for the baby.
Oh.
So it's been a little hard for her because she keeps saying, well, what am I going to do with all these bathing suits that don't fit me anymore? I was supposed to give them to the baby, but now our baby died. So I just feel bad. And I just tell her, well, we're going to just keep saving them and maybe we'll get another baby one day, but my heart goes up to her. She just has like all these little trinkets and things that she's was saving. So it just makes me sad.
Yeah, the whole family's grieving. They miss their sibling. Yeah. They miss their sister.
Yeah. But I will say, like, through all of this, we've been really blessed. We have a lot of support. We have an amazing group of family and friends. I've had our best friends flew from New York to Florida, stayed with us for the weekend, which was really nice, especially for my husband, because he doesn't have as many friends here except for his coworkers. And it's kind of like, well, who wants to talk about this with a bunch of guys that work all day? So for him, I know it was really nice to have his best friend here. And then I even had a friend fly to stay with me after school, just so like my husband was back at work, the kids were back at school, just so I like wasn't by myself, which was really amazing. And they're awesome because they just let me feel my feelings and don't try to fix it because there's really nothing you can do to fix it. And so it sucks and it's not fair. And that's it.
Yeah. And that's everything. And the fact that you have friends that can sit with you in that and beside you means a lot.
Yeah, it does. So we are doing our best to kind of honor the baby and, look towards the future and just try to make sure everybody's allowed to feel how they feel and be supported the best we can as a family. Sort of what we're doing, but it really sucks and it's just sad. We're just sad.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's a big, big sad.
Yeah, and part of the complication with it being a surprise, is like because it was so hard for us to get pregnant. You're like, why? Like, why even do this? Like, we're not religious per se, but it's almost like a cruel thing to do. And obviously, if it's a really wanted and tried for pregnancy, it's totally devastating in its own way as well. But it's almost like, well, we weren't asking for this heartache. So it's like, why did it have to go so far? Like, why did this have to happen? It's just a lot of whys. And then the gray diagnosis on top of it also. But I know on my heart I did the right thing. And I know even the people who in my life who are not pro-choice per se couldn't understand why I had to leave. They're like, yeah, but this is a medical situation. Why did you have to leave the state? Florida allows for medical reasons. And I'm like, for me, like if my water had broke, which it did, my doctor was saying at that point, once the water broke, now they're worried about me because I'm at a high risk of infection. So she's like, in the case that you get a fever, that you get any of these things, you come to the hospital and we're going to induce you here. And in that case, because my life would be in danger, they would be able to perform this procedure or induce me. I'm not sure what they would have done. But they would have been able to take care of it in Florida instead of us having to travel somewhere to see doctors that we don't know in a state that we're not familiar with. And people are just shocked that we had to do that. And I'm like, well, this is an abortion, technically. It just sucks to, it's a wanted pregnancy that had to go down this way. And there was an amazing foundation, the Bridget Alliance, which helped us travel. The social workers set us up with them. They helped fund our traveling to get out of state because it becomes very complicated when you have 2 little kids in school. It's about to start, and now you need childcare. You need to fly in a week out of state. You need to pay for a hotel. Luckily, the hotel actually was connected with the hospital, so that was free of charge. It was for only patients that were seen at this hospital, which was amazing. I mean, we got amazing care. The doctors, the staff, social workers, they were phenomenal, but they're all are just like, I'm so sorry that you have to travel. And, I'm traveling now, obviously pregnant with my cute belly to go to end my pregnancy. People are laughing at because, they're like, oh, congratulations. Well, strangers in the airport. And I'm just like, thank you. What am I going to do? Trauma dump things? I'm going to go end my pregnancy. So it just sucks that you have to do all that. And I think people don't really get it unless you're going through it or have family that's gone through it. Like, I can say for a fact that now some of my family and friends that may have disagreed with quote unquote late term abortions, they didn't know what that really was. They just think it's people who are like, oh, you know what? I don't want to be pregnant. It's not just that. It's the majority of people who have horrible, devastating findings and do what's compassionate for their child. So that's what we did, and we stand by our decision, and I'll tell everybody what we did. I have no shame in it because I think that people need to be educated and really not because it's just so poised. That's me on my soapbox.
Oh no, we need to hear it. It's it sounds like it's changed some hearts within your community.
Yeah, I would say so. And even the doctors here in Florida, the OBs, one of them was just like, this is like one of the things that Florida has wrong. It was on the ballot last year, and it came really close. But again, like, it's just so politicized on both sides. And I think I listened to one of your podcasts that was discussing that. And it's hard. I'm glad that we do have spaces like your group where we can kind of feel our feelings and know that we did the right thing or question what we did or whatever, and just be allowed to just have that space without people like, well, you should feel this that way, or, you should have no feelings at all.
Oh, yeah, like the other extreme where it's just a procedure, it's just an abortion. I didn't feel anything at all.
Exactly.
And that's not
procedure was a 2-day procedure.
That's not our reality.
It physically hurt.
Oh.
Physically actually hurts. And then it just, I don't think it ever really goes away. But you just moving forward.
And I also want to mention for our listeners that you're very fresh out in this experience. This only happened a few weeks ago.
Yeah. It will be 3 weeks this week. So I'm like 2.5 weeks out. And I've just felt called, even though with it being so fresh, like something in me, I saw your post and I wanted to share my story because I think it's healing to me to talk about it. So the tears are fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, they are. And I just want to mention for people listening, the group that we're referring to is our Facebook group, the TFMR support circle. So I'll put the application link here in the show notes so people who have been through this as well can come and join us, because it's so lonely, it's so misunderstood. You know, your whole story about your family members who are like, well, but it's this. Well, no, but it's this. You know, like, where do we fall? What category is it? Where can we actually get care? And that's why we have this Facebook group.
Yes, and it's an amazing resource. It's been really helpful for me.
I'm so glad that you found us, and you found us so early out, because the early days are so hard.
Yeah, I am a research type of a person. So with all my time, I've been obsessively researching resources, books, journals, groups, and that's how I found you. So through Instagram.
Through Instagram. Yeah. We're over there too at the TFMR doula.
Yeah.
There's something different about the support that we get in the Facebook group, because Instagram, it's like all of your comments are public, or if you do one of the, in stories, if you in a comment box, then those are anonymous. And I feel like the Facebook group kind of combines both of those, where, we can see each other's profile pictures, but everybody's been screened. Like, so we can really talk about the things where maybe if I were to post it on Instagram, we would get some weird comments from people who haven't even been through it. So They don't even know. They don't even know.
No, all the trolls come out. Yeah, the Facebook is amazing. So, and also I will say, like, be careful with Instagram, because when I started looking, some of the hashtags are going to be people just posting like really disturbing things that you don't want to see ever, especially not when you're fresh out of something like this. So be careful with Instagram, because people really do post a lot of weird stuff there.
Yes, the wild, wild west of social media.
Yeah. I'm kind of learned to be cautious of things.
Yeah. And what is that looking like for you?
For me, being cautious of clicking on things is just establishing what's a safe place, like something like your page, your group. My social worker also has a once a month for any of the women who had pairing us out of their hospital. That's a safe place for me, but it's just me not just searching miscarriage, TFMR, because unfortunately sometimes when you find posting really weird things on that, try not to just start.
Yeah, we definitely have to guard our hearts and really look around and find out what the best spaces are, the best places, the support people, find what works for us.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I got a little tattoo in honor of my daughter, and I'm laughing too because we've also been trying to adopt a dog for months, and the shelter just called us. So we're going to be able to be getting a puppy in the next couple of weeks. My son has allergies, so we've been looking for a hypoallergenic dog, which is difficult to adopt because, they go pretty quick, and we have to be pretty specific because of his allergies. So I sound like I'm having a midlife crisis because my baby died. I'm getting tattoos, I'm getting dogs. I swear I'm not going off the deep end. It's okay.
No, it is a crisis. It is a crisis. Yes. It's a change. You're not who you were before because you've been through this. So how do we mark that? I think it's healthy that you're marking it with art, with an animal, with caring, with communities. It sounds like you're doing a lot to care for yourself in this time.
Thank you. And as I continue to heal, especially because of where I'm located, I'm going to try to see how I can best support other women in my local area or within my community that are going through this, and also just help advocate for people to understand, whether that just means me straight up sharing my story, which is what I'm doing now. Obviously, I'm sharing it in like a tailored space for people who are looking for this kind of support, but I think it also means for me eventually sharing it with people who are going to disagree, but I don't care. Like, I want people to know, like, this is what it looks like. And it's not, evil baby killers marching off to other states. It's your neighbor, it's your friend.
Exactly. Thank you for being a voice for those that cannot. Not everybody can speak out, unfortunately.
Yes, thank you. I feel lucky to have the support that I need. So with that, I think I just feel called to talk to others about it. So here I am.
Thank you so much, Katie. What's something that you would say to somebody who's just getting a diagnosis, making the decision, or just going through their TFMR? Well, just like you, pretty early out.
Yeah. I would just say treat yourself with grace. Allow yourself to be mad and to be upset and know that it sucks and know that brighter days are going to be ahead and you're still a parent and you're going to make the right choice for your family and your child. And don't doubt yourself. Like, believe in yourself and stand behind yourself and try to surround yourself with people. And if people don't support you or don't understand, then screw them. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think you're coming from a very full perspective as a mother to living kids, as a mother who's gone through miscarriage, now TFMR, also the fertility challenges. Like, people will say a whole bunch of stuff about all of your decisions, right? So, every single one of them. Yeah. So your motivation to really stand behind yourself, I'm taking that into my own heart too. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Of course. And also, like, don't be afraid to make other people feel uncomfortable with your truth is another thing I'll say. And I even learned that way back with going through fertility issues is the constant, like, when are you going to have kids? Like, I even had a friend's grandmother say to me, no, when are you guys going to have kids? You're not getting any younger. Again, I was 29. It wasn't like I was knocking on death's door by any means, but she had something to say. And I just straight up told her, well, we're trying to have kids, but we've had multiple miscarriages. Boom. I mean, it is, you just got to say what it is. And people shut up. People aren't thinking. And sometimes they just need a little reality check that maybe she won't ask that question again. I don't know. But it'll be the same with people who have something not so great to say about this. I'm just going to tell them what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, it kind of sounds like ask awkward or inappropriate questions, get awkward and inappropriate answers.
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
So it's our truth. It's our love. There are babies.
Yeah.
There are struggles. It's what we're going through.
Yeah.
And somebody telling you, oh, have a baby now. Like, that's not helpful.
No.
Like, literally, Susan, I'm trying.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. People have no idea. So it's made me look at things a lot differently, all of my experiences. Like I said, I've never had the ignorance is bliss. Just, yeah, I am pregnant. Everything's amazing, because my pregnancy started out hard and with miscarriages. So I've always been scared, although I love to be pregnant. It's hard for me. So, this was a kick, but we're here, and I have a very strong and supporting, loving husband who will be celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary this year. So we're stronger than ever, and we'll just continue to be that way.
Wow. You all have been through so much. Thank you for sharing your your hope with us so early out. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Sabrina, and for providing this space for everyone.
Oh, thanks, Katie.
Thank you for listening in today. I want to finish today's episode by inviting you again to join us in our upcoming group, Ascend Grief Circle. If you are looking to heal your heart, feel safe in your body again, and experience grief and trauma healing modalities live with other compassionate TFMR parents like you, come join us. You can find more info and apply at the tfmrdoula.com/ascend-apply, and that link will be in the show notes or in the description wherever you listen to your podcasts. Take care. Subscribe to this podcast. It means so much. Leave a review, share it with a TFMR bestie or someone who you think would like this episode.